The Philips CDI, CD Interactive, is a candidate for the title of worst game console of all time. It's the home to the notorious Zelda games, and most of its library barely qualify as games at all. The games that do qualify as games are no better than its contemporaries on Sega Genesis, Super Nintendo, or later the PlayStation. But while it's easy to pick on the bad games on the system, there do exist some decent ones, and I'm going to list 10 of them. Here's the best 10 games on the Philips CDI. Perhaps as a testament to the overall quality of the Philips CDI game library, this universally mocked game is one of the better ones for the system. The animated scenes gets the most flack.
I hope she made lots of spaghetti!
But the game behind it isn't too bad actually. It has its share of flaws, like how you can jump into enemies on higher floors, and the very annoying and seemingly never-ending wigglers. But there is some fun to be had. The object of the game is simple, like an early 80s arcade game, to shut every door on the stage. I'm not quite sure how shutting all the doors would foil Bowser's evil scheme, but as a gameplay mechanic, it works. It's a little weird how the mushroom makes your pants glow, and the fire flower and starmen are very rare, but still the basic building blocks of Mario are there. There's plenty of levels too, and for you who like sadistic challenges, Hotel Mario has it. Way before Heavy Rain, this kind of game was where you'd go for an interactive movie. And this game has some of the highest production values on the CDI. Even the design of the cover and CD shows it. The game itself is a mix of first-person drag-the-cursor shooting and point-and-click adventure. The acting is surprisingly decent, and the music and art design conveys the whole cyberpunk atmosphere quite well. It has some weird moments, and playing the shooting sections with the D-pad feels stiff, but it's overall a good multimedia experience. This game is just like Kicks, but with a twist. You uncover pictures of Croatian model Tatjana Simic. It's a good motivator. Kicks is a good game, and this is a good game. Two things drag it down slightly. First, the obligatory CDI voice acting by some guy pretending to be a detective and who sounds like Ray Romano.
Now, let's see. They could do with a cleaning lady here.
And the time limit. Well, it wasn't too much of an issue once that I realized none of the enemies, if you can call them that, can kill you by crossing the line you make like in other versions of Kicks. And that makes the game much easier. Anyway, this is a solid game with a nice Croatian twist to it. This game was a big hit on PCs in 1991 and got ported to everything. And the CDI version is one of the few console ports that can be played with a mouse, making it very close to the PC version and a very good port. That's enough for Lemmings to make the number 7 spot. This game is pretty unique. The only game I've come across that's similar is Bound High on Virtual Boy, and that game didn't even get released. The gameplay is fun, which is what makes it worthwhile. The downside is the lack of music during the stages. But who knew bouncing a marble over acid would be enough to make this number 6 spot? Well, it did.
10-4. Let's kick some butt.
I do like these FMV shooters. They're a mix of hilarious acting and decent gameplay. Gameplay-wise, it's nowhere near as good as Time Crisis or House of the Dead, but the full motion video acting and the whole feel of it is still very enjoyable. Except the first Mad Dog McCree, which is broken, and the last Bounty Hunter, which is boring. The other ones are good. Mad Dog McCree 2, Crime Patrol 1,
Let's kick butt.
Crime Patrol 2,
Down here, we just call shooting like that bad.
Who Shot Johnny Rock,
The key to the mystery will be found in Johnny's safe.
and Thunder in Paradise. Each one of these has the crosshair that was missing in the first Mediocrity. It's still all about memorization, but it's worth it to see all the bad acting. This is my guilty
Good
pleasure.
to see you again. Hey, you gotta try this out. Remember that Thunder in Paradise episode that we shot? Well, here it is, man. But you can play it, man. It's like, it's television, but it's interactive.
Tetris is a great game, pure and simple. If this didn't have a couple of glaring flaws, it would have been number one. First of all, there's no sound effects, not even for clearing lines. Secondly, you can't drag the pieces down like in every other Tetris game. Third, you can't spin the blocks in both directions, and of course the direction you can spin them in is not the one I prefer personally. But it's still very much playable, and what helps it onto the list is the graphics and music, mostly the music. It's so serene and pleasant, and that coupled with the moving nature backgrounds makes for a very soothing experience. So yes, a Tetris game that fails in the gameplay department still makes the list of best CDI games. Here we have one of the very few games on CDI that happens to be in my favorite genre, platformers. But this one isn't actually a side-scroller like most platformers. It only scrolls up and down. What would you call that? A height-scroller? On the Super Nintendo this game would have been mediocre, but on the CDI it's one of the best. You play as Marvin, an apprentice to the wizard Gandorf. Marvin can shoot from his wand, but it's very delayed. But fortunately the challenge isn't all about killing enemies, but more to get to the end of the stage. In your way stand dripping green stuff and stone dragons spitting fire. The spikes that are all around do nothing. Sometimes you fall through the platforms, so you have to prepare your jumps. You die after one hit, which I hate. But at least you can find small bees that makes you able to take another hit. The graphics are very nice, even by Mega Drive and Super Nintendo standards. The music, some people might hate how bouncy it is, but I like it. The game has bosses after every 3 stages. The second world takes place in a bucket where you're swimming. I haven't beaten that stage yet though, because this game is pretty hard. A lot of that is due to cheap hits, but still. One thing that I need to mention is the manga looking girls that are strewn about. And the high score screen. This game is the one game on CDI that is as close to a game on Mega Drive or Super Nintendo as it gets. It's got no glaring flaws, and get this, you can use all 3 buttons. It's a beat 'em up set in the future where after some apocalypse people and animals have mutated together and, having nothing better to do, fight each other.
It's a mutant!
You play as the humans on multiple stages to win the tournament against the mutants. The graphics are good, the music is okay, and the control is good. As I said, you can use all 3 buttons, where most games don't use the 3rd button or just use it for pause. You can pick up weapons, break stuff and find food and beer to replenish your health, and get on switch pads to change characters in the middle of a stage. I also like the stuff you pick up like crud beer and the names of some of the enemies. Of course, it's not a CDI game without multimedia, and this comes in the form of animated scenes made by Animation Magic. Yes, the very same company who did the Zelda games.
Oh my goodness, this is awful!
But you know, since this isn't based on anything, it's not able to disgrace anything. So these scenes, while not good, are not nearly as jarring as in the Zelda games.
These guys gotta have a death wish! It's like suicide!
This game is not as fun as Turtles in Time or Streets of Rage 2, but it's very solid, and I think it deserves respect. The best game on the Philips CDI is a side-scroller about Christmas. The only side-scroller on CDI, even the other platformer based on Christmas, Christmas Crisis, is also a height-scroller. In Christmas Country you strive to find the pieces of Santa's naughty or nice list, which has been stolen by the evil dark elf. On the way you collect stars and letters that spell special, and when you do you get points. Yay! There's no power-ups, which is a bit disappointing, and there's no music on the stages. Another problem is hit detection. If you jump on a spring thing like this tire, and there's an enemy in front of it at the same time, you die for some reason. But the game is still fun, and it has some features that surprised and impressed me, this being a CDI game. There are no passwords or saving, much like the original Super Mario Bros., but there is a hidden warp zone. There's also some alternate paths to take through the levels. Some are shortcuts and some lead to secret areas. I like this game. Even though it's no Mario, it's a good platformer on the Philips CDI. And a good platformer on the Philips CDI is also the best game on the Philips CDI.